Ladies and gentlemen, I have made a lot of videos. I have covered a lot of games. I have made a lot of titles. Some, they say, are clickbaited or exaggerated. But today's is not. Far from it, and I will be proving that to you over the next 20 or so minutes. This game of chess was absolutely nuts. Difficult to explain. Alien level. Whenever I show you two games that computers play, you all enjoy them. Massive engine battles, and this one is very special. Our protagonists are Komodo Dragon and Scorpio, whose ratings are 3650 and 3500, higher than any human will ever have, although on chess.com, you can get close. The starting row of pieces is weird. That's because they're playing a different type of format. They are playing what's known as Fischer Random, Chess 960 freestyle. Don't worry about that because the game will get into a normal structure very quickly. Here we go. The game opened with the move pawn to c4. Okay, black responded with e5. Traditionally, this would be known as an English opening, but whatever. We're just moving some pawns out and opening up our pieces. By the way, shout out to Reuven, who sent me this game. E3, F6, knight G3, bishop G6. Okay, some developing moves. Both sides are getting the pieces out, just like you would in a normal game. Now, the way you castle in this format is you identify the rook that is on that side, right? So you have a rook on each side, and you still get to the same squares. Like right now, I think white could castle queenside on the next move. Probably would be unlikely given that the bishop is looking in this direction. The game gets spicy right away. We have knight to a6, and Komodo plays h4, just simply looking for h5 and to trap the bishop. Black could play h6 and put the bishop back there, but instead of that, black plays the move h5. That's just losing a pawn. Scorpio evaluates that it is worth the sacrifice of a pawn on the outskirts of the board because that would give it a little bit more time to play in the center, get its queen out from the corner. There are different strategies in these different starting positions, like if your queen is in the corner versus the middle, etc. Again, not to worry. This is going to be a crazy game. You've got to buckle up. When engines play, it's not the opening that's the crazy part, all right? It's later in the game. So, Komodo takes, and it ends up winning a pawn, right? And it's probably going to go on to win the game. If you give a pawn an endgame advantage like this, it's going to win. So, rook h8. Now, the craziness of this game begins right here. This is actually foreshadowing for the rest of the game. The protagonists of this game are the queens, which ironically started in the corner, right? But I'm going to clear my throat. I cleared my throat. Thank you. Muted my microphone. Now, this is foreshadowing because here the knight is hanging, and you can bring the knight back or you can defend it. Right? Those are the only two moves. Komodo Dragon plays queen to its only legal move, b1. Because if you take my knight, I'm going to go queen to g6, forking the rook and the knight. That's disgusting. Wow. So the knight goes to d6. Now, you can still go queen g6, but now What? Now you're going to give away the pawn? Yeah, apparently. Apparently, this pawn on the h-file for both sides is so useless that the pure time that you lose on this move will give white the opportunity to gain an advantage. Now, I know you missed something. There's been a pawn hanging over here too, for the record, right? Which black takes. So Scorpio can attack this. It has the knight here. Komodo kicks out this. Knight. I'm some point I'm going to say stockfish. And now h5. Now h5's nice because guarded by the knight, you control these pawns, right? You don't let these pawns go forward. You can kind of see in the long run how they might be weak. Now Scorpio begins building a big center because even if the opening starting position is weird, which is sometimes what we do in chess, still control of the center is obviously very smart. Komodo Plays knight ce2. I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's 36-47. We just shut up and we enjoy ourselves. Whatever move it makes is better than if all of you and me combined thought about a position together. Just think about that. How many of you are going to watch this video? How many people have watched this video? When you've clicked on it, maybe a couple thousand. All right, maybe I fell off. Maybe we got up to 400K, a million. All of us together could sit in a council and this machine would make a better move. Queen b8. Now it shows us it wants bishop a5. This move is pinning the knight, but mostly it's just kind of slowing down the black position. You needed somewhere to put this bishop, so the bishop goes to a5. Okay, fair enough. d5, the center is now taken, all right? d4, the clash in the middle of the board, and the queen arrives in the middle. All right, queen's in the middle, team captain, gonna be bossing people around and directing. White also comes in with the queen, and here we go. This is that part of the movie where the two most important characters who have been scheming the entire time are there. They're battling, you know, Thanos, Iron Man, some other, you know, thing, James Bond and the main villain. Like, here it is. Now they're going to beat each other up, throw each other off a tower. It's going to be absolutely crazy. Black has all these different pieces. Queen, knights, bishop, rook. Black has 7 pawns. Black moves the king. What? Now, even though Scorpio's not as strong as Komodo, still you got to trust that it's the best move. It's just trying to run its king out of the way. Smelling blood in the water, a desperate king trying to hide in the corner of the board from the forces gathered to deal some damage. Komodo takes a deep breath and breathes fire. b4. b4 is simply a pawn gone. Knight takes. There was nothing more to that move, but it didn't need anything more to that move. It's just opening the position. Rook b1. Knight goes back. But what was the idea? Like, the idea was some vague pressure over here, right? I mean, how else are we going to play? Now, white castles. All right, Komodo now castles and is ready to go over here with some rooks because it knows that the king is going to settle in on c7. Queen d7 is played, and now there's going to be a queen trade. Or is there? Because in this position, Komodo sacrifices the rook! Rook takes b6! And the idea is that you have to take. If you make another move, I will play rook takes a6 with a discover check before I take back the queen. I will get 2 knights for a rook, which is a very good deal. But if you play pawn takes rook, I play bishop takes. And I'm looking to deflect the king from the defense of the queen. But there's king d6. Now what? Bishop c5 doesn't work because you simply take with the knight. So the king is completely safe, right? d5. We continue to bash open the center of the board. fe5. And now, knight e4 check. And this is a major problem because the king is just stranded in the middle of the board. Knight e4 check, you can take it, you will lose. You have to play king to e7. Komodo takes another big deep breath. And just burns down the middle of the board. Queen g... By the way, how many of you would just take a pawn with check? Who wouldn't do that? Wrong move. And then when the king goes to e8, folks... Allow me to introduce you to the Komodo breathing dragon f4. Oh my goodness, the knight is going to perish in battle. The knight is going to perish. But if you take the knight on e4, it's not about taking the pawn with a check. It's about taking the pawn with a pawn to bring a rook into the battle without even moving it. The rook is asleep. But you go here, black's king is on the back rank, the bishop is on the back rank, the rooks are on the back rank, you just have knight d4, e6, queen g6, rook f7, the king is gonna get pulled apart in the center of the board, so f4. Time is ticking for Scorpio to try to defend itself. It plays queen f7, which is not a move that I understand, but it doesn't matter, it's probably the best move. Now, Komodo still does not take a pawn with check. It doesn't move the knight. It plays knight 2 to g3. This knight is being sacrificed for like 7 different moves, all right? Now you have to take it. If you don't take it now, it's going to be a problem. In this position, fe5 wasn't played because queen h5 was the idea. Scorpio was going to defend itself by grabbing the pawn, threatening a queen trade, and threatening an infiltration. So knight g3 shut that down while simultaneously preparing for the attack to continue. de4. Now, there is only one move in this position that continues the attack for white. And these computer games are so bananas. Guys, you have been watching for 10 minutes. Some idiots left the video already. Just think about that. Some people have such a low attention span, they're going to miss the best part of the game. And this was just the first saga. We got a knight sacrifice, a rook sacrifice. All right, Scorpio was up 5 points of material, but completely lost. And we haven't even made it to the best part of the video. That's how you know this is going to be a good one. Queen to g4 is the only move. Why? So that these moves don't attack the queen. So like, the queen is back here and can reposition itself if necessary, doesn't get attacked in certain situations, and can swoop in this way. So that if the queen takes, there's always queen e6. Now, queen d7 is the move played, knight f5 on the board. But how is white going to make the final push in this position? Rook h6! Scorpio defensively sacrificing the rook because it just wants a piece gone. It just wants to remove one of the aggressors. But we're not going to take. And the other idea of queen g4 is to defend the d1 square so the rook can go there. The rook has entered the attack. The bishop has already been participating. The knight is there and the queen is there. Queen e6. And Komodo sacrifices the second rook. Rook takes d6. Rook just to d6. Rook, no takes. No takes. There's no takes. I was too hyped. Rook d6. Attacking the queen. If you take it with the bishop, knight takes g7, knight takes. So it's kind of a rook sacrifice. It is the best move. And in fact, it's the only move. It's the only move in the position. Rook d6. Bishop takes. It is a 10-point material advantage for Scorpio, but we have knight takes g7, we pick up the queen, and rook e6. Now, the game's not finished, because you would think in this position, oh, I won the queen, look at me, and I sacrificed the rook 2 times, so Gotham is going to put me in his YouTube video. Yeah, but the game's not done, because black is still up 3 points of material, and when pieces like knights, bishops, and rooks play against the queen is generally not the favorite. It's a lot of material. So what makes the queen the favorite? More pawns, which can move, and weaknesses, right, around these pieces. So like weak squares, weak targets, etc. So like if these pieces can't coordinate very well, and they have to guard a king, it's going to be really bad. So f5, rook f6, h6. I think you see where this is going. I think you see why there are so many queens on the thumbnail. If rook takes, queen g7, you couldn't play it immediately because the bishop would block. c5. Scorpio has realized it doesn't have anything else. It can only push this pawn. Having said that, that is extremely difficult to stop, which is why Komodo plays here. It now has to take the bishop out of the position. It has to play defense. Scorpio plays rook f8. Solidifying control over the 8th rank. Surely, Komodo's not going to have time to promote these 2 pawns and bring the queen. And there's just no way you're going to bring the queen and bring the 3rd pawn. 3 pawns just walking up the board just can't happen, right? f6, check. You have to go here. I take with check. King b5. You can't take here because you would lose the bishop. So you bring the bishop back. Now you can't take this because I would take with check and win the rook. So the king goes back and is going to hide on a7 and defend this. Surely not, right? Actually, folks, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Actually, folks, I've seen the entire game. That is exactly what's going to happen. Black is going to play rook g8 and try to defend and look for this counterplay. You got to get rid of this bishop. And if this bishop were to be traded, this would just be game over. White plays h7. The rook goes to d8. And the final piece of the puzzle has arrived for the Komodo dragon, g4. Oh my goodness. It is going to be a 3-promotion game for white. White is going to bring back 27 points of queens. But not if black can queen first. Honestly, this is a lot harder to pull off than it looks like. Knight to b4, Knight to d5. I think, yeah, so I think first, like, yeah, this is exactly, yeah, there we go. This is the position. Now, the bishop's hanging, right? Bishop's hanging. You got to move the bishop. You got to bring it here, and then black is going to go here, and then you got to go here, and then black is going to play c2, and now it's the last line of defense, right? Komodo Dragon's like, retreating is for babies. If I go back, I lose momentum, and then you get closer to queening. If you take, move, and then promote, that's 5 turns. You're gonna die before that happens. G5, knight c3, g6, knight e2 check, king g2, c3. This looks lost. This is like a completely losing position, right? I mean, you cannot stop the pawn. You have to stop it with the queen, which is a worst case scenario. How can you possibly stop the pawn with the queen? Your queen has to participate in the attack. Or maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe it does not. Okay. Apparently the position is still completely winning. Now at this point, I would like to turn off the evaluation bar and allow you to just witness this incredible game without, any bias. Now this knight is hanging, and if you look a little bit closer, not only is it hanging, it literally cannot move anywhere. It will be taken. But if you leave it on this square, white can't take the knight. It's not possible. Because if white takes the knight, the pawn just gets through. You need to make sure the pawn can't go forward, and you cannot stop the c1 promotion. Which is why in this position, Scorpio goes rook c4. It can basically do whatever it wants now. It can, go for the king. It can go rook b4, rook b2. It can take away certain attacking squares. Or Komodo can just go here. The other idea of this move, as opposed to going to like c6, for example, because that would allow g7, if you had played g7 in this position, there would be rook g4 check, and then I would take that pawn, and once those pawns got split up, you wouldn't queen any of them. So rook to c4 is threatening rook g4 at all times. Now there's this, now there's this, the pawn's gonna queen, this is gonna queen. Guys, prepare yourselves for an absolutely unforgettable finish to this game. White has to decide what to do. If white goes g7, c2, which queen do you make? You probably don't make that one because it can be taken, but you can make that one actually, right? Now, do you go back and play defense first and then go g7? What do you do? I have an idea. What if you queen now? You cannot be taken, because then I would take the rook and stop the pawn, and of course you would be lost. Now this looks hopeless. But for who? Komodo Dragon has brought back a 9-point piece and taken a 3-point lead in material, but 9 points are about to be resummoned for black. So black is about to get a queen as well. And if black gets the queen, the rook is going to come to c2. This king is wide open. The investment that you made of queens on this side of the board have left your king barren. Whereas this king is actually quite safe, I have to tell you. I don't know how we're going to get over there. And black has more attacking pieces. But Komodo plays... These moves are so unbelievable. Queen to d8. Check. You still can't take my queen, but now it's getting menacingly close to your position. If you take, I take, so you have to defend the king. The king goes to a7. Now I use this moment to make another check. But what about king b8? Now there are no checks. But the queen has improved its circumstances. It stands on a5 where it monitors the king and doesn't let it out of the house. It's basically got a bow and arrow pointed at it no matter what. And now white plays the very simple move. Queen to d3. Queen to d3 is very straightforward. If you queen, I take the bishop with check, and you will lose, because you will need to go back like this, and then I will just sacrifice on c7, right? So I take on c7, you will have to take with the rook, I make another queen. Okay, fair enough, queen d3. But now what? What do you do now? because you can't take, you don't have a way forward, and you still cannot stop me. I'm going to make a queen on the next move. Well, now I have done exactly what I wanted. Your rooks can now not come in so quickly. So now it's time for the next queen. Oh my gosh. This is incredible. C1 queen and Scorpio retakes the lead, swapping a 1-point pawn for a 9-point queen. There is another queen on the board, and it is there for black. And rook c2 is winning. Rook c2 for black is going to win the game. That is not an exaggeration. It would be, look, I'm going to return on the evaluation bar. White is still winning, but there's only one move in this position, and you will truly, and I do mean truly, you will never find this move. You will never find the move here for white. Never. If you make a queen on g8, it looks like you should just win, but after rook to c2, sorry, this rook, oh my god, that one's pinned. It's like, how do you survive? How do you survive this? Rook g2, king f5, queen to h3, king to f6, and then somehow it is a miracle, but you are surviving the position. I mean, most people lose this, all right? And obviously, if you don't play g8 queen, if you play f8 queen, the bishop just takes, you know, and you lose. So, what happens here? What is the move? What is the move to play? c1 queen, white to play, it's +4. What's the move? The only move in the position, after this moment, Scorpio realized it was losing. Only after this moment, queen a to d5. Because they could both go there. So QA D5. Sounds like a password. If that's your password, change it now. The idea of queen to D5 is twofold. Number one, when the king now goes to H3, there is no attacking it from the corner. That is absolutely heinous. But furthermore, the idea is to always threaten the bishop if necessary. Because that way I would get back 2 pieces, it would be check, and I would be ready to queen, bring something back here, etc. So king to a7, moving out of the way of the attack. Folks, another queen has entered the realm. 27 points of queens are flying around the board for the Komodo dragon. Can you imagine being an idiot that clicked off this video around the 6th minute or something? You are still here, and you are reaping the rewards. Now, the game is still not finished. The game's not finished. Folks, what matters in chess? Material, as absolutely moronic and abstract as it is here, and king safety. White does not have a safe king. Black kind of does. Even if these pieces find a way to check, black always has a shield. Black has layers of protection everywhere. So how is white going to break this down? Obviously by playing the best move once again, and we don't want to lose the rook. We are now just covering the last promotion square. Queen to g7. What is this? If rook to c2 check, the king is still going to h3, and there is not a single spot. There is not a single spot in the position you can actually threaten the king. Nowhere. You can't go to h8. It's absolutely all covered. It doesn't look covered because you just feel like a draft. You know, you've opened like all the windows in the house. Like literally, you broke all the windows in the house, but you're just like, nope, nothing's getting in. So queen g7, rook b6, just playing a defensive move. And now we take a pawn because, I mean, what else, right? Like we got to bully the opponent. We control every direction of the board. In every which way that we look, I can highlight all of the squares that the queens see. I mean, the queens are so powerful. It is mind-blowing. Look, if we highlight every single square that these it's endless. It is truly endless. It's like 80% of the board. I might have even missed one. There's another one. There's more. I think that's it. I think that might be it. Anyway, you guys will always, you know, tell me afterward if I missed a couple. What is this? What is this? Oh my goodness. Rook c2, king h3. But how do we actually win? Oh, maybe like that. Maybe we win like that. Nope. King g4. You can go queen g1 check. You can, it's right there, but the queen comes back to shield. One of the queens will give itself away for the safety of the king. So king g4, rook c5, skewering 2 queens. Skewering 2 queens. How? When does that ever happen? You just have two queens that can, like this. And now the conclusion of the game. Every beautiful movie, every beautiful opera, every beautiful play and performance, every beautiful piece of music, they have a final crescendo. And this is it. This moment reminds me of the duel Seto Kaiba Siegfried Lloyd, all right? For the Yu-Gi-Oh fans out there. When Kaiba did that final dragon attack. This is the moment. Because in this position, Komodo Dragon sacrificed the queen on b8, and that is how it's going to win the game. It is going to queen with a check. It now brings back its third promoted queen. 4 queen promotions in a game. And when the defense goes back to a7, had this move happened in the game, it didn't. White would have sacrificed another queen. Queen b7, king b7. It would have given up 2 of its queens to play queen d7 check. Rook c7, queen fc8, king to b6, queen to b8, let's say a king move, queen b5 mate. What? There would have been a double queen sacrifice combination after f8 queen, king a7, queen takes b7. Oh my goodness. Which is why after f8 queen, it didn't go king a7, it went rook to c8. And now it's easy. Now we just lose the rook. And 3 queens, believe it or not, are going to defeat a queen, a bishop, and a rook. And now it's just a matter of technique. Queen to c7, we immediately trade the queen off the board. Takes, rook f8, queen e5, queen d4. We take the bishop. There is still one final chance of a stalemate. If you play queen takes b6 in this position, it's, it looks like there could be a stalemate here, but no. Anyway, queen e4 check, king a7, and checkmate on the 72nd move of the game. Have you ever in your life seen something like that? The answer is unequivocally no. I hope you enjoyed today's video. You too can learn to play like that by checking out that gigantic poster board in the back. Get out of here.